with the sword of realization, cut asunder your doubts about the truth. All your doubts are born of ignorance. Take refuge in you. Krishna is saying, the mind is full of doubts. The yogi is the one whose mind has left all doubts behind. And Krishna is saying, those doubts can only be cleared away using the sword of realization. Krishna says your mind is full of ignorance, and then he says your mind is full of doubts. Can we see that these two are one? Conventionally, ignorance is understood as the absence of knowledge. But Krishna is telling us that ignorance is not the absence of something, rather it is the presence of doubts. And all knowledge leaves you with doubts because no knowledge is complete. Whatever you know is always incomplete and hence leaves scope for doubt. You may know that your work is well secured, but is your knowledge about that security total? Because that knowledge is not total. Hence, when an opportunity to doubt the security comes, the opportunity will succeed. You may be greatly assured about your child or your wife or your husband. But is that assurance total? That assurance can never be total because that assurance is always based on some knowledge. And hence, when more information, more knowledge comes, then that assurance is shaken up. Ask yourself, is there anything in your life that cannot be shaken up? You may have greatest trust upon something or somebody, but can that trust not be shaken up by just one piece of evidence or information? Such is our life. We live in a very, very terrified way. We are not certain at all. We know that one particular message on our mobile phone, one particular email, or one particular floating bit of rumor can totally disturb and unnerve us. Because our relationships, our security is based on knowledge, and knowledge is never total. That knowledge which is never total gives rise to doubt, and that is called ignorance. Kindly understand how Krishna is defining ignorance. Ignorance is not the absence of knowledge. Ignorance is reliance on knowledge. The more you rely on knowledge, the more ignorant you are. The more you rely on knowledge, the more laden with doubt your life would be. You would say, I trust this man because of such reasons. The reasons are all knowledge. Are you sure that the list of reasons has exhausted? Something can be added to that list. Would your trust then remain intact? Your trust would be gone along with the elongation of the list. Gone. We live by knowledge. We live by mental stuff. We live by elements of consciousness. We live by what is going around in the mind. Krishna then, by implication, is saying that whatever goes around in the mind is ignorance. Whatever goes around in the mind is doubt. Now, this really dents our confidence because our sense of worth, our sense of self, our sense of the world itself comes from what we know, rather what is stuffed in the mind. We trust that, we live by that, we depend on that, we make decisions using the content of the mind. Krishna is saying, the more you depend upon the content of your mind, the more terrible life would you be living. That is called ignorance. To live by the limited when the unlimited is available to you. Ignorance is to live by information when something far more accurate and immediate than information is available to you. And the yogi is the one who has obtained freedom from the tyranny of the mind, which in turn is the tyranny of consciousness, which in turn is the tyranny of knowledge. Mind you, all knowledge is external. Try it out. Think of something that has not come to you from outside. Your language, your thoughts, your emotions. Is there anything that is innate to you? And because it has always come from outside, you can never be 100% assured of it. That lurking doubt always remains, and that lurking doubt is the hell of our lives. We cannot sleep properly. We cannot go into total relaxation, which means that we will forever be deprived of freedom, because freedom is just another name for total relaxation. Enlightenment too is just another name for total relaxation. How can one relax when one is not sure whether his house would be at the same place when he returns the next day? How can one relax when one is not sure whether his body would be there the next day? That which we live by, our body and mind too, are bound to be taken away by time because they have been given to us by external situations. It was a coincidence that your father and mother met and this body was born. You had no choice. Just as you had no choice in birth, you also know that death too is going to be just a coincidence. How then can you relax? Krishna is saying the yogi is the one who no more lives by coincidences. Instead, he lives by something that is far more fundamental. He lives by something that was not given to him by time and hence would not be taken away by time. Do we see this? What is this sword of the self? What is this sword of the truth that Krishna is imploring Arjuna to use? It is nothing but the basic power to directly know. He is in fact telling Arjun, just as you are listening to me with attention, can you move through life with attention? Obviously, you are realizing what I am saying at this moment, because if you are not, then what I am saying is going waste. And if you can realize it right now, why can't you live in realization every moment? The only way to move into the truth is by examining the false, and the false is always available for examination. False is nothing but the total content of our lives. We live in that, we bathe in that, we breathe in that, we wallow in that. To our left is that, to our right is that. Outside is that, and in our inside too is that. Wherever we look and whatever looks, there is just that. Krishna is saying, look at it. This looking is the sword. This seeing is the sword. If you can hear rightly, if you can look rightly, and that rightness is no method, that rightness is no particular way, that rightness is just total honesty. If you can listen with honesty, if you can be present with honesty, if you can look with honesty, then you would have gained freedom from the world, then you would have gained freedom from all that which lurks as doubt in the mind. Looking, you will find that Doubt exists because you have placed your hope upon something that is limited. In fact, your doubt is certain and your doubt holds true. The moment you put your hope upon something, a doubt arises. Have I put my hope upon the right thing? Have I related to the right person? Am I wedded to the right ideology? The doubt is right because you are not wedded to the right ideology, because you have placed your hopes upon the wrong man. That does not mean that there is any right man, because whatever be the ideology, job, situation, thing or person, he is going to be limited, and what you want is something unlimited. Seeing exposes that you are wanting the wrong thing in the wrong place. Seeing exposes that the shops keep changing, but your knocking does not change. Seeing exposes that the shops keep changing, but the limitations of the objects inside the shops rarely change. They never change. But our hopes that the next shop might provide me the unlimited good that I am hunting for remains intact. This hope, this expectation, this stubborn insistence on not realizing is what is doing us in. Actually, the ego is almost as stubborn as Krishna. Krishna is obstinate, chapter after chapter, verse after verse. He is preaching to Arjun. And Arjun, who stands for the ego, is equally stubborn. He says, I have still not understood, I have still not understood, I have still not understood. So are we. Life keeps on teaching us lessons. Every suffering is a message. Every disappointment is a message. Every instance of pain is a lesson, but we refuse to learn. We keep on falling in the same hole again and again. We keep on committing the same mistakes again and again. The names of mistakes might change. The nature does not change. Every mistake by its fundamental nature is the same. The mistake is you are relying upon the wrong thing. That, by the way, does not mean that there is any right thing to rely upon, which means that you need not rely upon anything, which means that you are somebody who needs no support. There is no need to rely on anything. Do you see the total sense of empowerment that Krishna is coming from, that Krishna is synonymous with? And do you also see how unnecessary it is to live like Arjun, mired with doubt, shaking with indecision, when the totality of living is easily available? The yogi is the one who is not running from shop to shop. The yogi is the one who is not looking at the world with eyes that are longing for something. The yogi is the one who has realized that what he wants will never be available in the world. And that does not disappoint him, because it means that what he wants is something that is not of the world and hence of himself. It is good news. It is not out there. It is not out there. It is not out there.
Yesterday during the discussions in Meet the Master series program yesterday morning, the seeker who came from US and he had certain sets of questions to ask, and while answering those questions were answered by you when I was present there. So it came out the importance of faith. So everything during the discussion it came out that faith is the only thing that exists, and to me it appeared like now the faith is the only important thing to my mind. And now today during this discussion, in this one-on-one thing, it came out the role of genuine doubt. Not doubt alone, rather than the word came out genuine doubt. Now, how to understand this genuine doubt in accordance to the faith that I have learned yesterday? So, is this genuine doubt is like faith only, or something?
They are identical, they are one. Faith and genuine doubt are one. Genuine doubt is to know that everything that you can trust is only going to betray you. That is genuine doubt. Genuine doubt is to not to remain unnecessarily hopeful. That is genuine doubt. Doubt taken to its totality is genuine doubt. Faith is after all the pillars of belief on which my life stood have collapsed, I still trust. What does genuine doubt do? It takes away all the objects that you use to trust. We all need security, right? So we trust something or the other. To doubt genuinely is to see that whatever you trust will fail the purpose of your trust. And you know that is why you are insecure always. Genuine doubt is to know that whatever you trust will never be trustworthy, really. Genuine doubt is to see that whatever you really want from the other can never really supply. Because what you want is the infinite, the other is finite, the finite cannot give you the infinite. That is genuine doubt. So genuine doubt takes away everything that you ever trusted. And after everything that you ever trusted and can possibly trust is taken away, you find that you are still trusting what? Nothing. Trusting nothing is called faith. I can still live assuredly. I can still live in security. Reason? No reason. Object? No object. I am purposelessly alright. I am reasonlessly joyful. I am just okay. This is faith. If your welfare is dependent on an object, then your welfare will always be compromised by the limits of that object. When your welfare is independent of any object, that is faith. I am alright and I will continue to be alright, but why? The why is nonsense. This is faith. I am just alright for no reason. I was always alright. I will continue to be alright. Can you explain? The explanation is nonsense. This is faith. I cannot be taken away from myself. The real can never be separated from me. How do you know? The how is nonsense. This is faith. I just know. I just know. Even if everything betrays me, even if all that I have ever held to be valuable deserts me, yet nothing would essentially change in me. This is faith. Faith is to love without explanation. Faith is to celebrate without occasion. Faith is to know without knowledge. Faith is to leap without wings. Often when you just leap without wings, you find you are flying. That is faith. Faith is the ability to live in uncertainty. And that ability is very much needed because the world is always an uncertain place. You must have a tremendous certainty in your heart so that you can live in total uncertainty. That is faith. And remember, faith cannot be dependent on anything, because if your faith is dependent on anything, then that thing will belittle your faith. You cannot say, I will have faith as long as such conditions are met. Faith has to be unconditional. Only then it is faith. Otherwise it is just petty trust. Otherwise it is the ego trying to figure out some kind of a refuge.